Okay, folks, in the last video we talked about adding the inventory command. It was not that hard because inventory was already a method in the person class. But the person is a type of container, and the contents description is a, get contents description is a method. I think that's what it's called in all containers. Let's see, is it get contents description? Yeah, it's get contents description. Okay, so implementing inventory was not that difficult since it was already a method in the person class. Now I want to talk a little bit about scoping. And for scoping, what I want to do here, let me show you the two-word commands. So the two-word commands are in Adventure Controller. All right, there's the one-word commands. Here's the two-word inputs. And the first word is the action or the verb, and the second word is the noun or the game object you want to act on. So if I say examine, okay, first of all, I'm looking to the world map here, and I'm saying, okay, does this world map even contain that that key or that unique identifier for a game object? And if it doesn't, it'll say, I don't recognize the game object with the name blah, whatever that word is. Okay. And that's great, but as we saw in the last video, if you're in the outside house room, you can still say examine monolith and it'll examine that monolith. We don't want to be able to do that. We just want to be able to examine things that are in the outside house room. Okay, so to do that, I play a little around with ChatGPT. I wanted to try to figure out, I have this tree structure, right? At the very top of my object tree, I have this root node, okay? But then I have all these container nodes, like rooms are containers, the player is a container, some items, like some objects like the flower pot is a container, can contain other things. And I want to be able to just have a map that is basically a subset of the world map that just reflects that the container, whatever container I choose, as the root and everything on down. All right, so I played around with ChatGPT, and I came up with, well, it came up with something close here. If I go to container, this is what I got from ChatGPT. Okay, so from ChatGPT, I modified this a little bit. But here it is. I said I had this container structure of objects, and I wanted a submap. And it basically said, okay, well, first of all, we're going to... Sorry. It said, first of all, we're going to create a method called getSubTreeMap. All right? And it defines this map. And then it calls through to populate subtree map, which is a recursive helper method. Okay, see, it's private. Recursive helper method to populate the subtree map. All right, so it's just going through the putting the container in there, putting its children in there. If any of the children are containers, putting their children in there, etc., etc. All right, and so basically, I can just call getSubTreeMap to any container, and it will give me a map. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to Adventure Controller, and here's the code that tells me I don't recognize an object with the name, whatever that word is. But and it returns if it doesn't recognize if that object is not in the game tree, it returns. But if it doesn't return, we get here. We get to line 116, and we basically just get the game object associated with that noun. Now this says if that noun is not in here as a key, then print that message and return. And this basically says, okay, well, give me the game object associated with that noun, because I know the only way I can get to line 116 is if the world map does contain that key. All right. So given that I have that game object now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that local map. All right. So I'm going to create a map from a local variable, which is a map from strings to game objects. Okay, and I'm just going to call this I'll call it my scope map, because these are the things in scope. And I'm just going to set that to equal to world, and I'm going to get the current room, which I know is a container, so that container has get subtree map. All right. And this says, do you want map to be Java util map? And yes, I do. Okay, so what I'm going to say here, I'm going to say if the scope map does not contain that noun, if the scope map if not scope map contains key noun, right? That's what we're looking for, because we know that is a key in the game now, because we wouldn't have gotten this far if it wasn't. If it wasn't, it would just return from here. Okay, so if the scope map contains the key noun or does not contain the key noun, we know that the noun is in the world somewhere. We know that the game object is in the world. It's just not in that room. So what we want to say here is world current message, you don't see any, and then we're just going to add, you could put the noun here, or you could put the name of the object. I think I'm just going to put the name of the object since I already have the game object. Game object get name. You don't see any blank here. Okay, and then I have to return. Don't forget to return here. All right, and then if I make it past here, the player does see something, that it does see that game object, and that game object is in scope. Okay, so then I can do my switch statement for the verb, and then I can examine that, and I cannot examine a monolith if the monolith is not in scope. All right, let's save that and test this out. And for better or worse, I have to get through this door. Take silver key and unlock front door. Oops, I don't see any front door here. You don't see any front door there. That means the front door is not in scope, and that is wrong. The front door should be in scope outside the house. Examine front door. Okay, let's look at what I just wrote. Obviously, it's getting to here. And the scope map, if the scope map does not contain this key, then you don't see any front door here. It would be correct. And actually, I could put noun because it's actually the same thing, because of our requirement that the noun be the exact unique identifier. So something went wrong in my scope map. Map game change the scope. Get current room. Get subtree map. So if you're getting the subtree map, you should have a mapping from the front door to the front door game object. And the scope map should contain that key. Okay, so let's do this. Let me do this. I should probably debug a little bit, but I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm just going to comment this out. And X, Y, Z, Z, Y. Examine front. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to have to do something a little bit more complicated. All right, I'll debug. And I'll debug till I get right here. Here's where I'm defining the scope map. Okay, so I will stop there. X, Y, Z, Z, Y. Examine front door, and there I've stopped there. What's in that scope map? That I just, I haven't actually created it yet. But I'm in get current room, get subtree map. All right, let's just step over that and then see what's in my scope map. Size 8. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's interesting. So a bunch of things that I expect to be there are there, like the pink chrysanthemums, the screwdriver outside. Outside house is the room itself. That's maybe kind of weird that that's there, but that's not a big deal. Flower pot, silver key, concrete step, potting soil, player, but the door is not there. So did I add the door as a child of the outside house room. I mean, that would be the obvious first place. So that would happen in my game. And here's the front door. Let me just see what that says. No such instance field front door. Okay, so here's the front door equals new door, front door. And I'm setting it to locked. I'm setting it to be closed. And it doesn't look like I'm putting it in the room there. I'm setting the room direction for the kitchen. Yeah, here's some doors. Okay, so intro room, add child monolith. So there I added the monolith to the intro room. And containers, but I didn't add the door. That is weird. I thought I did that. Okay. But I did say the door to your house looks like a regular door. So I have doors up here and I have doors down there. That's kind of weird. Okay, let me focus on doors down here, because this should be both in the front room and in the kitchen, actually. Outside house, add child, front door. I also want kitchen, add child, front door. I want this to be the same door. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous about this, and my question is, am I doing this somewhere else? Am I adding this somewhere else? Because I did think I added that door. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to search for front door. I see it there. I see it there, just declared as a field, and I see it here basically in my, this is my constructor, right? And I said outside house set door direction, north to front door. It would be nice kind of if that pulled the front door in as a child, but that's okay. Oh, here's, oh, I did it here. I mean, is that the place I just did it? Yeah, outside house, add child, front door. And then I put the description here. Okay. I guess it's there now, so let's stop it and run it. X, Y, Z, Z, Y. And we'll go north. Take silver key. Unlock front door. You unlock the front door. So I can see the front door. Okay, I think this should be working now. Front door. Okay, and if I examine monolith, you don't see any monolith here. Beautiful. Okay, so I think our scope is working pretty well. Of course, there's still much more to do in this puzzle and in this code, so stay tuned for the next video.